Welcome to The Preacher and the Politician. My name's Sinclair Eve. This is the preacher over here.
Mike Redmond, preacher at Windsor Baptist Church in Gainesville, Florida.
And we're going to be discussing today some current events and what I call the three great myths that are being circulated by the mainstream media. And Brother Mike, you and I are going to discuss these, and we're going to add our own input into each issue, but I'm going to give you the outline of what the issues are. The first issue is, if we just got out of Iraq, everything would be fine.
Okay.
Because if we just got out, because it's all our fault anyway, or George Bush's fault, or it's Hollywood's fault. It's not their fault, it's our fault. The second issue is Islam is really a religion of peace. And in fact, it's been hijacked by about 2% of the Muslims. The rest of them are really peace-loving people that really want to get along. They just want to get along. And we're going to discuss that. And we're going to have to delve into some history there, Brother Mike. The third issue is Islam and the Bible. They're really just one. It's just the God of Islam, same God of
Quran,
of the Bible. So we're going to discuss that. Now we're going to start off. We're going to do a little history.
All right, let's go.
So let's go back to the year 632 when Muhammad died.
And now you're focusing in on the issue of Iraq, getting out of Iraq. If we just left them alone, everything would be okay.
Well, we're going to put all these issues into one pot, and so you, the listener, need to understand we're going to be talking about all these three because they all overlap.
Okay.
And it's hard to dissect them out.
All right.
So let's go back. We're going to do a little history trip, and it would take a full day to do a really comprehensive history trip, but we're going to do it quickly.
And about 8 minutes now.
In 632, Muhammad died. And of course, he made no provision for who was going to take over the Islamic religion. But in 632, Muhammad died, and before he died, he gave the Great Commission, the Islamic Great Commission, which is no two religions can exist in the Arabian Peninsula, and that was the Great Commission. What's the Christian?
The Great Commission in the Christian world is go into all the world and preach the gospel of Christ.
Of Christ.
And so it really does seem like there's a conflict there.
So you got one Great Commission, which is go kill everybody that disagrees with you, which is what they did. And what you've got to understand is that Islam was successful in running the pagans out or converting them
out of Arabia.
And then they took off and went into northern Africa and Spain and France. And of course, make a long story short, they returned back at the Battle of Tours, and they went back to Baghdad and they set up housekeeping there and cool their heels, so to speak, and
but it really was evangelism at the point of a sword.
Absolutely.
There's no historical question about that.
No.
There's no denying it. There's no debate. Okay.
Right. They went and conquered people and killed whoever disagreed with them. Now, before we start this, I'm going to quote a very secular authority, which is the AP, Associated Press. No friend of evangelical Christians, no friend of the right-wing Republican Party or any of those people. And here's what they said over the last, one of the last Osama bin Laden tapes that he sent to us here in America. Here's what the AP says. Osama bin Laden's latest message is a hodgepodge of anti-capitalist vitriol, impassioned Islamic evangelism in what can best be described as a twisted attempt at reconciliation. And here it is. Join us or we will kill you.
Now this is from AP.
Join us or we will kill you. Now, AP, a secular, no friend of evangelical Christians, says that. So that's going to be my foundation. So we're going to start there. So now let's go.
But your foundation was really the Quran itself,
right?
And then the early history of Islam,
right?
And then this is just the fact that nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed.
Then that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to, number one, Islam has not been hijacked, okay,
by a small
group of radicals. It's always been this way. So now what we're going to do, we've done 632. We've done a real quick overview of the invasion of Europe and being turned back in France. They conquered Spain and they were at the border of China. Now we're going to take a leap forward to 1970s, 1979, 1978, when you had the Islamic Revolution. Now, you're old enough to remember.
I am.
They took over the American embassy there in, what, Iran, and held Americans hostage, and Jimmy Carter was president. He sent some people over there to negotiate with them because he know they're good people.
Because he is a negotiator.
He loves all people, and he knew they were good people, and so he sent some people over there to negotiate. Then he tried a little invasion that got stalled in the sand, if you remember. And then Ronald Reagan got elected, and they let the hostages go. So now we're going to take a leap up to 1998. Now, if I remember correctly, who was president in 1998?
Well, it was 9 years ago.
That's a long time, you know. So was it Mr. Clinton?
It was Clinton, wasn't it?
Oh, wow.
It was Clinton.
Yes, it was. So Mr. Clinton was in power. So somehow it wasn't spurred on by George Bush. And here in 1998, 5 Islamic caliphs. Now, caliph would be about like the Pope or a bishop.
Not like the Pope, because there's only one Pope.
Right.
Much more like a bishop. Yeah.
Right. But originally there was like only one caliph, and they broadened that out where they got a bunch of caliphs now. They signed a fatwa. Now, a fatwa is a declaration of war against the United States. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the first paragraph of this fatwa, which is the foundation of what they believe and why they're having this fatwa.
And the timing is critical, because we were not head over heels in there getting their oil.
We had kicked Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait, and they had asked us to do that.
That's right.
And they were afraid that he was going to go from Kuwait to Saudi Arabia. Saudi wanted us to kick them out. And so we were requested to come in, and we did. Now here's what the Islamic fatwa says. And I'm going to read it word for word. Praise God who revealed the book.
The Quran.
The Quran. And I would imagine the Hadith. And the
Hadith, which is the expansion of the Quran,
right.
and seen by Islam as very much a holy book. I mean, they live by that.
Well, it's in the Quran, Muhammad says, "Go by, you will live by all my sayings." Okay, so they consider the Quran to be a holy book revealed from God, and in fact kept in heaven. We're going to get that in a little while. And so they say that Allah, who revealed the book, controls the clouds, defeats factionalism. All right, now that's interesting, which we could spend a whole day on, because they don't believe in factions. They believe there can only be one understanding.
And yet, look at the Muslim world today.
Right, and that's why they're looking for one person to unite the whole group. And he says in his book, "But when the forbidden months are past, then fight and slay the pagans wherever you find them, seize them, beleaguer them, lay in wait for them at every stratagem of war. And peace be upon our prophet Muhammad, who said, I have been sent with a sword between my hands to ensure that no one but Allah is worshipped." No one but Allah is worshipped.
So Allah, the conquest of the world in the name of Allah.
And so it started there. No one but Allah is worshipped.
And that is not a radical fringe. That is their holy book.
That's it.
So if there is a moderate Muslim that says, you know, those radicals over there are the ones that are reading the book and taking the book the way it's supposed to be.
That's right.
Incidentally, there's the issue of, you know, a lot of people today, I'm going to call them Western Muslims, that say that jihad is not a military thing, that what it is a spiritual, personal, individual struggle.
Jihad, my struggle.
But that is virtually a Western interpretation.
Yeah, and of course, Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf is in German, my struggle. Now, Allah, who put my livelihood under the sword, shadow of my spear, and who inflicts humiliation and scorn on those who disobey my orders. That's the charge. Now, this is the first part of the whole discussion of these 3 myths. So I would appreciate it if you would tune in for part number 2. Thank you.